Hey everybody, we're here today in the Ag Technologies podcast to talk about planter maintenance and just things that we got coming into this new year. Travis Kinley,
Brian Tucker.
Dalton Benton, and we're here today to just start talking about things that we've got going into the new year and just scheduling some things out and what we find to be important for this season coming up. We got a lot of things stacked up against us, but we're trying to make the best of all situations for the year. So today we mainly wanted to be talking about kind of the schedule out of things with the different crops that we're seeing getting planted and what normally happens for us on timing. And we just wanted to kind of talk through the importance of planter maintenance and why in years like this year, especially, and last year, and, you know, all the years around here lately has been a lot to do with keeping what you got going for longer and trying to make the most of your investment, being as efficient as you can. Got Brian and Dalton here today. We're working on a planter actually out in the shop and getting ready for this peanut planter, but getting ready. And we were talking through scheduling out planter maintenances and trying to be ready to get our timing together on that because you run out of time very quickly. And then just kind of see about how we've been seeing success and downtime and those kind of things with planter maintenance. So I guess starting out, we'll just kind of say the importance of scheduling. So everybody's, trying to get their plans together. Is, questionable how many acres of this, what we're going to plant, all those kind of things. But for us right now, the priority would be sweet corn, guys, by all means. So like we all know, like when is normally our sweet corn start date?
February 14th.
Yep. So that's almost a month away, and that comes very quickly. Last year, I know we had a few sweet corn planters that we had built in the fall or set up for in the fall. This year, we don't really have any that are specifically sweet corn that we're rebuilding, but I'm sure we got some that we need to check out.
Definitely.
So the reality of January and February are big show months. We've got grower meetings. We've got all these other things, and growers do too. The growers are getting invited to extension meetings. They're, all these other things they're having to check off their list, meeting with the bank, and, whatever else it is. So thinking about what shape is my planter going to be in when I pull it out to get going, that's probably not the first thing on the mind at the moment. Everybody's trying to save where they can. But that's where we like to come in, obviously. And we really, it is, I mean, we are a for-profit business, obviously, but we do see the value in just going out, seeing guys in general and making sure they're at least thinking about some things, because we got to be ready for parts and, wear parts, all those kind of things also. So, it's the time to go back and think through what issues do we have last year? Did we put it under the shed with something that we knew we still needed to work on a little bit? Do we need to run the meters this year because it's been a few years? Do we need to do new seals? All those kind of things. As far as sweet corn's concerned, what would y'all say would probably be y'all's most important thing that you would want to check ahead of time for most planters?
I don't know. Thinking back to this past season, especially the guys that maybe have a few years on them, have a good many acres on those planters, really looking at those seed meters. I know it was in a cotton planter last year, but we were having issues with not getting, I guess, the singulation that we wanted or the population. I can't remember which one was the issue, but it all came down to there was too much wear on the teeth of the crop plates. That's right.
Like a train to track down the track.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, our seed plates, they have a good amount of life to them, but they're eventually going to wear. So making sure that we go through checking those seed plates out checking your singulators out. Your brushes are good. Just that seed meter in general. I mean, that's definitely something that you need to look through. I mean, we have people that, if you have a little bit of seed left in those meters, whenever you put them up, have rats get in there, chew on the brushes. There's just a lot of things that can happen over an off season. So for me, just checking that seed meter out, especially if it is that sweet corn or any crop, but specifically with sweet corn, I mean, that's definitely one of the first things I'd be looking at.
Well, and running them one at a time, it may not seem that important, but like that situation, they brought the meters here to the shop. We put them on the stand. As soon as you fired that thing up, you could hear, and it was like, this is not normal. And at first, I didn't really, when I first looked at the seed disc, I didn't even really think it looked that bad. But, you go from the teeth that are just perfect triangle essentially to having a little bit of a
wave,
And, I mean, it just was a little bit of a shark fin. I guess just that separation was enough for it to click each time. And it was throwing, I can't remember if it was simulation pop. It was off, whatever it was. And that road was definitely running inefficiently.
And then it was even, I think we were seeing some higher amp draw too on that one. So
the meter was having, the motor itself was having an issue.
Yeah.
And, a lot of guys could come out and just be like, yeah, you got a bad motor. Here you go. Just drop, $500 or whatever. And all the while, it needed a new crop kit.
That's right. You're looking at $60 instead of $500.
So those are the kind of things that in general, just saying like, we need to save money this year. We always need to save money. If you get in the heat of battle and you just start throwing parts and stuff because you got to go. We don't have time to check this thing out. But if we had checked it out ahead of time and it was a $60 part, instead of a $500-$600 part,
different.
That's a big difference. Not to mention the downtime.
Yeah, the downtime's the biggest, I think.
Yeah, especially with sweet corn. I mean, you've got those windows. I mean, you've got to get that contract, whatever their harvest contract is and all that, you've got to get those windows met, so many acres a day, essentially. So whether it's seeding or it's, if it's seeding or liquid or whatever it is, all those things. So, the sweet corn we saw this past year, I would say the seals, I know I've seen with like just weird crops with, green beans, stuff like that. We saw some issues last year with, guy running a green bean or running one of our planters with green beans, and the crop kit wasn't particularly wrong for what we initially started out with, but his seed per pound changed, and couldn't figure out why we were having a problem. I got over there and the beans were literally going through the hole. They were stuck in the hole. And I got him, I was like, hey, can you see what your seed per pound is? Figured out we need to go to a different crop kit. And now it's actually performing better than it has since he got the planter in the first place. We should have been in a different crop kit to start with, but it was a little bit bigger bean before and we weren't really seeing the problem. But we also have seen problem with I think with that crop kit, but then also seals getting worn to where you have bad vacuum, obviously, and then the seed can get stuck or, pulled behind. Make that seal flip over or whatever. And that sweet corn seed is the most irregular seed of any out there. So for us to be able to do the kind of job we do with a sweet corn seed, to me is pretty impressive to be able to handle it correctly. So seed per pound, I don't know that I used to think it was so important, but it really is. I think we've seen a lot of different cotton varieties over the past few years that the seed per pound makes a really big difference. And you'll hear some guys I've had some guys that have dropped a seed altogether just because it wasn't doing really well. We probably could have changed the crop kit a little bit and might sort it out. Just some of them being a smaller seed than normal, or maybe they got a bunch of irregular sizes in that altogether. It might be all over the place. So what about liquid? What do you think is most important? If you had to tell everybody today, if you were putting a planter up, and I know we're a little late on that now, but if you were putting a planter up today and you have really any liquid setup, not just the apply, but what would you say would probably be keys on your store and winterizing?
But very first and foremost, flush it out. You don't want the product sitting there all year. I don't care what you got in it, fertilizer spray. It ain't made to sit. It ain't going to do good sitting. The VFI aspect of things, flush them out, drain them out, take them off the planter. Put them in a heat regulated, temperature regulated building. They don't freeze. You can avoid all your problems as far as winterization by just taking them off, and it's not that big of a job. Flush them out, take them off. Now, any other liquid system, flush it out. I like to take my lines off. Every spot that I can, downstream of the pump, you take them off. You won't have any issues from there. That's my biggest thing on liquid. But when you flush it out and keep it clean, you won't have no issues.
Yeah, man, we've had some cold the past couple of years too.
So flush your pump out too. Don't just flush out your plant. Flush your pump.
Yeah. And I know we've heard different additives and people saying different cleaners, or we've heard antifreeze. We've heard antifreeze.
Yeah.
You can eliminate that by just taking it off.
Right.
You take the VIPLA off, and like our EM flow sense and all that, you can just take the whole bracket off.
It's not hard.
No.
And then too, if we come out to check them, then we can throw them on the stand and run them. They're already off, and then put them back on the plant. So that would be a pretty great workflow if the customer pulled them off or asked us to come pull them off. They put them up. We come out before the season. We're coming out to do the planter check anyways. Run them on the stand.
Well, we're going to have to take them off the planter either way.
Yeah, put them back on the planter. Yeah. Maybe if they've already got some water in it, even run it once you get it back on the planter. Just make sure we're not running into a problem.
And I try to offer guys too, when I get done, I'll go help take them off. Because what it does is it eliminates them having to spend money they don't need to spend, and it takes away from me having to take time that I need to be focused somewhere else, on something that could have been eliminated.
Or just getting a bad taste in the product, though it's an environmental thing that we can't control. Or just an operational thing if it's a particular product that's just gotten gummed up in there too. Which, like we've talked about, the inflow, and not to just stick strictly on precision stuff, because I want to just mainly talk about planters today, but the inflow not having any moving parts is a big plus that we've seen over the past few seasons too. So timing wise, we were going to try to get out there too. We've got some meetings coming up, some grower meetings. If anybody's listening that is in our area, you can ask your rep for the area if there's a meeting in your area. But we do have some coming up beginning of February. We normally are at a bunch of different grower meetings. We got some shows coming up in North Carolina next month.
Beginning of February.
So we got a lot coming up. I'll just make a plug too, on the sod side of things, we'll be at TPI next month, also out in Arizona. So we got a few things going on with that. So we'll be trying to see those guys pretty regular too. So scheduling things out. Sweet corn guys, if you're listening, we need to quit last month, right? Yeah. Corn guys, those would be our next ones. We'll definitely be wanting to see, and I feel like we're going to see a good bit of corn this year. We definitely like to see those guys. I mean, we've got plenty of planters that we didn't touch last year that probably are due.
They're due.
Even if it's somebody that's been running their stuff for a while, what you need. We'd love to come check them out, but if we just need to get you some seals, by all means. And I think most everyone we've got out there now, the crop kits need to be looked at.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not running precision, your crop kits need to be looked at. They're not lifetime. They definitely have to be checked. They all get wear. You can see too, they're pretty telling on if there's been something in there dragging or whatever. You get lines cut in them or whatever. You can feel little ridges on the sides, on the flat face on the top. But the precision ones, even to the normal eye, untrained eye, I don't think you would even say there's anything wrong with them. Like I was saying, last year, I didn't think it was a problem. So those could avoid some issues. But if you put it on the stand, it's going to show up.
It shows.
It'll show up so quick.
And And we can run all meters on our stand too. Most of all meters.
Right.
Just look out there.
Yeah.
It ain't got to be precision, for us to check your meters.
That's right. And that'll show vacuum issues and whatever, simulator issues, all that. We do have the option for the E-sets as far as the economical thing goes, to convert the guts out of a deer meter. Mostly. So that's a really big plus. We do have our kits now. I know we haven't really talked about it that much, but as far as peanuts go, we do have our kits now on the crust busters, so we can convert those. And we're doing mostly on the. Well, I feel like we'll see a lot on the insecticide. So most of the ones that we see in our area have a lot of smart box. I've heard of guys wanting to be able to run other insecticide options with those planters. So us being able to put just a standard deer hopper on there, that's a big deal. With the electric control, we're doing precision on those. And now that we do have blockage monitor, that's a huge deal. One thing on on the blockage monitor, explain to me, you were talking about the other day, what was that other metric? Magnitude.
Yeah. So not only can we monitor, whether we're flowing or not flowing, it's going to take a metric where it compares each row to one another. So if you have one row that's flowing less than other rows, you're going to have that metric too.
Instead of, why is this one so high?
Exactly. Yeah. So it will be able to tell you if there's a blockage or not, but then also how that row is flowing compared to other rows. So it's not going to tell you, you're putting out 5 pounds per row or whatever, but it will tell you how it's flowing compared to other rows. Mm-hmm. So,
and if you already have a precision planter, it's actually with insecticide, it's a very simple add-on now.
Easy.
They've done the hole size and everything on those. So that's a very, very easy add. What was do we have to go up? We have to go up on firmware.
We have to go to 2026.0 to run those.
So we do have to do the new software.
Right.
Speaking on the new software, I know we're talking about data stuff. We were just talking earlier about field view, panorama, all those kind of things. We've been talking a lot about data usage and all that with Passmaster, and the Panorama is going to be a great tool. I think it's going to be a good tool down the road, even if you don't have a precision planter. I think there's a lot of data that can flow into it that you can visualize better, whether it's harvest data or whatever. But we're getting some updates on data usage and how that stuff will work. And I think we're going to be okay to where it's not going to be as big of a deal as we're thinking after talking earlier. But looking forward to that and having, infield coverage sharing with the Passmaster seems to be working really well. So that'll be good for these guys running, whether it's corn planters or whatever, together in the same field. So what would be y'all's main benefits y'all would think on doing a preseason? And I'm saying like personally affecting you and for the grower, what would be your...
I can take this one.
Yeah, it's actually...
All right. First and foremost, if you call me to do your preseason, I'm going to cut down on any downtime that you're going to have during the year. That's just point blank. We're going to go through the whole planner, precision parts, wear parts, just the planter bar, the parallel arms, everything. And when I leave that planter after preseason, other than it being hooked to the tractor that it's going to be hooked to and being, I would prefer it to be plumb, but we can put a water hose to make sure your liquid system's working out. But whenever I get done with it, it's going to be as field ready as it can be without being in the field. All right. And what that's going to do, it's going to eliminate any downtime that you would have you're going to have some downtime. It just happens. But simple stuff, wear parts, seals, brushes, a wire that's pinched and ain't quite, all the way gone yet. I'm going to find that. A plug that the clip's gone off of that's going to fall out. It's going to cause you problems. It's going to eliminate downtime for the grower, and it's also going to help me be more efficient with my time through the planting season. So if 3 people call me today, I'm not going to have to spend, X amount of time here because I already found that problem. It's going to be 2 people call me that day. So in the long run, it helps everybody, most of the grower, because he's going to be more efficient with his time in the window that he has to plant. Most guys have 10 days. They want to plant everything they got, in a perfect world. So if they lose 3 days worth of that time, I mean, that's huge. Most guys, if they got 212 acres, about 250 acres a day, 2 of them, that's 500 acres that you just lost, So it's extremely beneficial in my mind for the grower, for the downtime mostly. And it helps everybody, I guess. It helps me, it helps them.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like once not saying that we don't care about all planners, but if we do a preseason on one, we are invested in that thing running right. So
That's right.
If a guy calls you day 1 or day 2 or whatever, and like I said, you'll go to all planners and help anybody, that's no doubt. But if a guy calls you and says, I think something's not quite right, and it's one we've done a preseason on, we're more than likely going to make that one a pretty big priority when you get there, because
I'm proud to come into effect there.
Yeah, that's right.
so, but I mean, and we don't put it in the field when we do a preseason. We don't drop seed in the field. So I mean, there are some things that could show up after the fact that we don't know about. Too.
So that's what
Very little.
yeah,
Very little. I see.
yeah,
Very little.
yeah, like a great man that I look up to a lot, Kirby Smart. Like he says, let's control the controllables.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go through and take a look at those things that we can control before we get to the field, and that's going to take away a lot of that downtime, like you're talking about. Yeah. And all of that, let's make sure that we're not going to have downtime, but let's make sure, especially again, we do preseason whether you have a precision planter or not. But our guys with precision planters, they have precision planters because they want to do it the best that they can. Right. So let's make sure those parts are doing the best they can. I go back to, it's that same green bean planter. This past year we did a preseason on it, and we were able to make tweaks when we put that meter on the stand. We were able to make tweaks. This is before we changed crop kit, but we changed our baffle position and our vacuum setting, and it made a world of difference. Before that, he said out the best it ever planted by just tweaking those 2 things. We didn't have to sell him anything, but we just made what he had better. So let's eliminate that downtime, but make sure that we're doing the best that we can by putting that meter on this test stand. Let's make sure all the variables, all the things that we can control, let's control them to the best we can. That would be my.
And it cuts down on that first day paint. That first day planting is always, first day picking, it's always getting things set up. You go through preseason and it's 75-80% already set up.
That's exactly right.
And for us too, for parts, like if we go ahead and check them out a little earlier, we keep a lot of parts on the trucks, we keep a lot of parts on the trailer, we keep a lot of parts in the shop. But if something big happens and we run out of seals or seat tubes or whatever it is, you don't want to be waiting on that either. The earlier we can get in and get that stuff on the planter, the better. And not to mention too, I mean, there's just other things like we keep talking about. If you show up, there's going to be something else talked about. There may be something else that's needed that we need to go ahead and be talking about, or maybe we need to change how we're doing something, or maybe the guy didn't realize that he could do a variable rate seed map in the planter very easily, or whatever it is, something that.
And that's huge nowadays.
Yeah. And if you start talking about it first day of planting, he's going to say, well, we're the way we are for the year, we're going to go. But if you start talking about it 2 weeks, a month before, you may have some time to implement something new for the season that might save you a lot of money in the end.
Yep.
Or just give you some feedback that you didn't realize you were missing or whatever. That's the one thing we've been talking about with Panorama a lot. And any farm software, I would say, is what is the data that's coming into it, and are we using it to figure out how to do better, just in general. Are we having, that's the thing with Panorama, we can see so much more than just simulation population like you can with a lot of stuff, ground contact, all those different things. Are we having problems with the road because our gauge wheel arms are wore out, or whatever? We may be controlling the downforce well, but it may not be riding evenly. Our mustache, we got the mustache kits now. We've got the new depth adjustment, the T-handle deal now that gives you, first off, it replaces a possible wore out, but then also gives you more range, so there's all those things, like with that, we may be out on the preseason and the guy says, man, I just can't get my depth set just right. You know, this road runs about a half inch off of that road and whatever else. I'm like, well, we got these new depth adjusters that actually gives you kind of an extra clip and you can be more precise. You don't have to stair step it up. You actually can move it up the smaller steps through it. So, and it's a very easy install.
And I think that's extremely common. Like I know just from my experience on the farm, I don't think I ever had two rows that were identical to each other running depth. I mean, you having the same setting, they're never the same. And guys just expect it to be the norm nowadays. That's just how planters are. Because you want that micro adjustment like you have on these new T-handles.
That's right.
Where you can go through and set each opening disc to the exact same depth. You know, you don't have just 1 and 2 or 2 and 1 settings. Like you actually have your 1 and 2, and then you also have the micro adjustment that you can actually adjust it to the exact same depth across the bar. I think that's a really big tool that's, I think, overlooked a lot. And it's especially like corn or something, cotton, not so much, I wouldn't think, because it's so shallowly planted, but corn, I mean, that could be 12 more hours of emergence that, you know, if one planter rows off from another, and that could be big in your stand and your yield, I think.
So, and we'll try to wrap up with some of these last comments, but we'll do a little test here and see what y'all think, because I know my answer. If you were a grower and you had to invest in one thing on your planter, and now I know this is wide open because I don't know what you got on your planter yet, but just in general, if you were trying to be economical, but you wanted to do one thing this year to your planter.
Just one?
Yeah, just one thing that would save you or help you or increase your yield or whatever, that was fairly cost effective, but would be a pretty big change for you. What would be your go-to if you could pick one thing?
Our question.
Point of order.
Deer planter, or does it matter? Just any planter?
Just a deer.
Delta 4.
Out of everything.
Delta. If only one thing.
Okay.
And I say Delta Force because Delta Force is what gives you emergence, the perfect emergence you want. It's going to put you at the right depth that you need to be at, because that row unit's going to be where it needs to be pressure-wise on the dirt. And my two favorites for V-Drive and Delta Force. Yeah. But if I had to choose one of the two, seed meters are okay in general. OEM, they're okay. They'll put seed in the dirt. But I think a bunch of people lose emergence from the pressure of the row unit on the ground. Their fur is up or down the whole way. Row unit's bouncing seeds, not singulating like it ought to. You smooth that right out, put your seed at the right depth. That's what I would pick. I would pick Delta Force for sure.
And I feel like I've heard that more recently too with cows that are, trying to save some money, but some that already have experience with products, and they say, yeah, but we just can't not do that.
I can't afford not to have it. Yeah.
And I come from cover crop country too, so there's more rough planting conditions, I guess, where I'm more common with.
And it does, like you said, it kind of, and Reveal does some of that too, just kind of cleans up in one pass instead of having to do all these extra passes to make sure everything's prepped for the planter to come through. Not saying you shouldn't have a smooth road to come down, but we all know, you could come through there and smooth everything out and get a heavy rain the day before, and now it's not anymore. So
I want to hear what yours is first.
You can hear mine?
I want to hear what yours is first, yeah.
I am a really big Furrow-Force fan.
Yeah.
I really liked Furrow-Force a lot, and I've seen situations where we've gone out and added Furrow-Force to a precision planter. I've seen where we've added Furrow-Force and it's the only thing precision on the planter. Everybody I've talked to, I don't know that I've ever heard anything negative out of it. It's a low support product once you put it on there. The only thing you got to watch is bearings, really. That's about the only thing you got to be mindful of. But I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said that was his, and he's got a good bit of stuff on his planter, but he said that was his favorite thing on the planter. And I think the current closing systems that are out there from the factory, they're not bad, but they're just so basic.
Yep.
You know, a standard V closing. I mean, that's to see a gap in the seed trench is not uncommon
That's
at
right.
all with that. Because that's the other thing. I mean, if you've got furrow force and you've got delta force, you're gonna be closing because you got
That's
that
right.
contact. You know, you could be running a V closing and it's so short and everything too. You could miss your chance to close because of bump or
Yep.
whatever. So easy. So with that being a 2-stage closing, you have more opportunity to. I mean, if the pinching doesn't get it, you know, the wheels will lose it.
Yeah.
And the way that it closes,
Yeah, destroying that furrow wall and just
Yeah, it's just,
closing it together. Like, it's not just packing, they're closing, like destroying the wall pretty much, wrapping that seed up, no moisture pockets, no air pockets. Yeah.
And I mean, how many planters do you walk up to with the cotton closing system and half the planter, the tails are kicked to the side?
every one of them. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
No doubt.
and that's not a bad closing system either, but it doesn't seem to stay fixed very well. You know, it's just, if you're not checking it, you're not tightening it up, straightening it up.
And most people will say, well, I've had all right emergence. You know, I've closed, I've been pretty good, I think. And then they put it on like, oh, wow, okay, maybe I haven't.
Yep.
You know, you go look at a stand looking down the road, yeah, it looks okay. You look sideways on it.
That's when it
you
tells.
see your emergence. And I think a lot of people overlook that. Yeah, that is a big part of the closing of it.
Okay, what's yours?
I think I'm going to go a little bit different route. I'm going to go the Duraware line. I know that's not necessarily a smart product, I guess, but I'm thinking about your parallel arms. So on the Duraware line would be parallel arms, gauge wheel arms, and the depth adjustment handles. Those are mustache, all that's part of the Duraware line. You know, we can have Delta Force, we can have our V drive, all these different things, but we got to have the fundamentals right too. Because if we have that vibration in the row unit, you know, we could be putting that seed out exactly where we want it to. Like, it could be coming off at the right time. We got vibration happening, bouncing down the seed tube, then we're not getting the singulation at the ground level that we want. So I think I would, you know, there's a lot of good smart products too, but our Duraware line, I think we need to make sure that our fundamentals on the actual planter, the iron side, it's kind of where we need to be too. I think that's where I would go.
Yeah, I mean, because you could go through and not put a single smart thing on the planter and have practically a brand new planter just with
Yep.
a few wear parts, closing tail. I mean, row cleaners, all those kind of things are very low support. You shouldn't cost you a lot after the fact. I mean, if anything, once you put them on, they should be doing nothing but pay back, really, in the end. So I think those are all very good items. And now, tell me if I'm wrong, the Delta Force is not as intense anymore. We can do that without having to. Do we still have to have
Which
smart connector or not? Or can you just run it?
I think we can run it without smart connector now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking we could, because some of the other stuff we talked about in the past, like insecticide or this,
That's right.
whatever.
I'd have to go back and look to make sure, because I haven't actually.
But they
do
kind of
like that. But they made it modular. That's
you don't
right.
have to have you don't have to say this is a planter and we got to read seed drop
That's right.
for sure kind of thing. But yeah, well, I think that covers most of the stuff. I mean, just I guess moral of the story is get in soon. I mean, whether you're cotton, peanuts, corn, sweet corn, whatever, get in with us soon. We're ready to get moving. We got a lot already lined up, trying to get done. And when these guys start rolling, it's definitely going to get us rolling too. So sooner we can give the attention, we would love to be out there. And for anybody else not in our coverage area that's just listening, you know, we hope maybe those key points on just some maintenance items that we find to be important. We do have some more lines on our wear parts now. We do have our better than OEM opening disc. We have all of our Duraware line on the parallel arms, schedule arms, depth adjusters, all those things. So we've got a lot of new things out there, whether it be for the crust busters or wear parts, all that stuff. And then also on the data side, if anybody's interested in getting on the data, that's something that we're very interested in getting a lot more out there. Just it helps us on the technical side too. So we're ready to get that out there too, because that's going to eventually help us a lot more with remote support and all those kind of things. Also, so we do have those meetings coming up. Anybody listening in our coverage area that wants to get to a meeting, contact your local rep. We'd like to catch up with you ahead of time, maybe talk about some things we might help with this year. And unless you two guys got anything else to add.
I got plenty to work on.
Yeah, we got to get this planter knocked out.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we appreciate y'all listening. This is all of us from the Ag Technologies podcast. We will talk to y'all next time.